A lifeline for Ukraine's forces severed. This destroyed bridge near Bakhmut on the last main supply route to the front. Bombed, a Ukrainian soldier told CNN, by a Russian missile. Meaning reinforcing troops or getting people out immediately becoming harder. We were on that road near Bakhmut, military vehicles bombing towards the fight and coming back. With a V sign for victory. Russian forces have made progress at encircling the city, leaving only the west open to Ukrainian troops. The ferocious fighting has left thousands dead on both sides. Wagner forces, which have led the Russian charge, have paid a particularly high price. Today, Wagner's leader, Evgeny Prigozhin, on the outskirts of Bakhmut, released a video claiming, quote, "The pincers are tightening." He called on President Volodymyr Zelensky to withdraw his troops, saying, give them a chance to leave the city. Prigozhin regularly exaggerates Wagner's gains. Ukraine blasted today's video as part of a disinformation campaign. But Ukrainian commanders admit they are facing withering Russian attacks. The Eastern commander posted photos today of a visit to Bakhmut where he was briefed on the problems with Ukrainian defenses. Despite no announcement of a withdrawal, some possible signs have appeared. This Bakhmut rail bridge strategically bombed by Ukrainian soldiers to make it impassable. The head of a Ukrainian reconnaissance unit saying they received an order to immediately leave Bakhmut without giving a reason. In neighboring Chasiv Yar, soldiers from an artillery unit told us they have no plans to stop fighting here, fearing what could then happen. The problem is not just Russia taking Bakhmut, Potapych says. They will not stop and will keep destroying the next cities. We need to wait for reinforcements to come and then kick them out. So it is unclear whether those reinforcements are coming, Aaron, but when speaking with those soldiers, they did tell us that they want to keep fighting in Bakhmut. They think that if they lose Bakhmut, if Russia takes Bakhmut, then Russia will use that as a jumping off point to keep pushing into Ukraine, take that next town where we were, Chasiv Yar, and set their sights on other towns and cities deeper into eastern Ukraine. Aaron?
Alex, thank you very much from eastern Ukraine tonight. And out front now, Dan Rice. He advises Ukraine's armed forces and was also just named president of American University in Kyiv. He also just returned from Ukraine. And Nina Khrushcheva, a professor of international affairs at the New School and the great-granddaughter of the former Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. And so thanks very much to both of you. I appreciate it. It's good to see you both. And Dan, obviously, I know you're going to be spending even more time there taking on this new position at the American University in Kyiv as well. So when you see Bakhmut and what's happening there, that bridge being blown out that Alex was just reporting on, Prigozhin saying, surrender, we're going to get you. And it seems from what we're hearing, right, this hasn't been going the Ukrainians' way, millimeter by millimeter. And, I guess some experts are saying, look, give it up in Bakhmut, lose the battle, win the war.
Absolutely. It appears that the feared Russian offensive is in Bakhmut. They're losing a lot of casualties. They're losing over 20,000 a month dead and about 3 times that wounded. So since November, they've lost about 75,000 killed in action. So basically Putin is betting everything on Bakhmut, which is not a strategic location. So Ukraine is giving up some territory, which is non-strategic. It's a 70,000 person city that basically is not strategic and has virtually nobody left in it. And the entire Russian army is being degraded. And by May or so, they're going to be basically a leaderless conscript army, and that's when Ukraine can counterattack.
And so, okay, so you think that's how they're playing this, or strategically doing this right now? I mean, Nina, this is in the context of what Oleg Deripaska said, that they're going to run out of cash by early next year. As we said, he did call for an end of the war in Ukraine at the beginning, but this is somebody Putin has known for a long time. He's been very much in that inner oligarch circle, such that it is. How significant is it that he is saying, it was a conference in Siberia or something, where he said there will be no money next year?
It's not the first time he's said that. And at the beginning, it was also a conference in Siberia, and he also was very open that we need the world, it will be over. He promised that Russian economy wouldn't survive, but then it sort of somehow survived.
Well, it has lived through, yes.
Right. And he himself said a couple of months ago that apparently Russian market economy turned out to be much better than he thought it would be. But once in a while, he comes out with this warning that for now he can get away with, because it is. I mean, of course, Russia will run out of money, but I really don't think that this is Putin's concern anymore, because Putin is going to fight until he can, with the money or without. And businesses now are obliged, essentially, to pay for this war to a certain degree.
And so, on this, Dan, the top White House aide today, John Kirby, told Abby Phillip that giving lethal aid to Russia is still on the table from China, right?
Yes.
That's something Putin is obviously very much trying to do, right? Because you talk about Bakhmut, you talk about the reality in Russia, he needs something.
He's running out of everything.
Running out of everything. So would anything China could do or would do in the way that they would do it, which wouldn't be like a blatant in your face, here it is, would that change anything on the ground?
Well, Representative McCall has said that they fear that China's going to give 100 drones to Russia. Just starting to give arms to Russia, lethal arms, would be very dangerous, and it would be an escalation of the war. I think basically Xi Jinping has seen a masterclass in what not to do. He's seen basically Putin make every strategic blunder. To join him right now would be fatal. On the one hand, he's trying to negotiate peace. On the other, he's threatening to give arms. I think he's going to try to win over the world.
What's the right way to describe 100 drones? A drop in the bucket or meaningful?
It wouldn't be significant, but what it would be is symbolic. That means they're actually going in to support them. So drones would be able to help the Russian artillery fire become more accurate, and it is a big artillery war.
So Nina, the Kremlin today said strengthening the border because of this, what they call a terror attack on a village along the border. They said armed Ukrainians raided it, and Putin called the group neo-Nazis and said this.
It is precisely these people who aimed to deprive us of our historical memory, to deprive us of our history, to deprive us of our traditions, our language. Nothing will work for them. We will crush them.
Now, of course, Putin then delayed a trip he was actually going to make to the region, the whole region, claiming that this was the reason. What do you read into what's happening here?
Well, it was a terrorist attack. I mean, it was an attack on the Russian territory, and we know how Putin takes this seriously, because it also, not only, I'm sure, a lot of people in the Kremlin are being upset about that, but also then becomes the next cycle of propaganda, because it basically validates all the things about the Nazis and all the things that they want to destroy Russia and so on and so forth, and we're going to crush them. And so you, the Russians, don't be upset. We are going to strengthen it. We're going to make sure that nothing is going to happen to you. So basically that rhetoric, I mean, those acts and then the rhetoric helps him to push the war forward.
Right, but it's rhetoric.
Well, and it's also the war forward, because every time when something happens on the Russian territory, then Ukraine is being bombed twice or three times as much.
Right. Well, of course. And as we said, they took out that fighter jet today, as we were talking about, Dan, but, one plane. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both very much. And again, Dan will be heading back to Ukraine in his new role at American University, Kyiv. So thanks so much.
Thank you.